Have you ever stopped to think that the actual words you use aren't just describing things, that maybe they're like building your reality? Imagine finding a technique that's, well, super simple, completely free, but also really, really powerful. Powerful enough to genuinely change almost, any part of your life. Sounds a bit like magic, doesn't it? Today on the Deep Dive, we're really getting into a book that promises exactly that. It's called Magic Words and How to Use Them by Genevieve Davis. And this deep dive is especially for you, our listener, if you're looking for those deep practical insights, ways to get more control, maybe manifest better outcomes, but without all the usual fuss or expense. Our goal here is to really unpack why this specific technique gets talked about so much as being, well, genuinely effective for making real change happen. Okay, but before we jump right in, just a quick reminder, if you like what we're doing here, please go ahead and hit subscribe. Maybe like the video. This is the Deep Seek Diaries, and you can find us on the main social spots, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and everything we talk about today. The books, any websites, it's all linked down in the description for you. Oh, and please check out our terms and conditions when you get a chance. Right then. Sit back, get comfortable, and let's explore these magic words. So let's get into this central idea. Davis basically argues we can use, well, mere words, her term, to genuinely affect people, events, even objects and relationships. And in really exciting and beautiful ways. What jumped out at me straight away was how bold she is about it being devastatingly simple to master. She says, no preparation, costs nothing. You can use it immediately and potentially see changes within just a few days. I mean, how radical is that, suggesting words alone can do so much?
Well, it is pretty radical on the surface, but what's really interesting, I think, is the psychology behind it. Davis suggests our conscious mind, the part we think is in charge. It often acts like a gatekeeper, but maybe not a very accurate one. It can end up feeding mistruths to our unconscious. She calls the unconscious the 98% giant within, which is a great phrase.
The giant within. I like that.
Yeah. And this technique, the magic words, it's designed to kind of bypass that conscious filter. So your words can talk directly to that deeper, more powerful part of you. It's almost like a direct line in. And honestly, it does tie into things we understand about, say, neuroplasticity or even how habits form, bypassing the critical factor, so to speak.
That makes it really compelling, doesn't it? Especially if you feel like your conscious mind is kind of getting in the way sometimes. So this book offers a more direct path. It fits with that bigger idea that, if we want a different experience, we need to think it into existence. But Davis seems to push it beyond just thinking. It's about the words.
She definitely does. And that leads to something I think is maybe a bit confronting, but really important. Her point about complaining, she's very blunt. She just says, complaining is creating. Complaining is just creating stuff you don't like.
Oof. Yeah.
It's not saying ignore problems, right? But it's about seeing the active energy in the language we use, even when we're being negative. It really reframes personal responsibility.
That is a tough one sometimes, I have to admit. It forces you to pause and really think about the impact of just your everyday chat. It's not about being falsely positive all the time, is it? It seems more about being intentional with language.
Exactly. Intentionality is key.
So the core shift she's advocating is internal first. When I make changes to me and the way I show up, the world changes too. It really puts the power back with you instead of just waiting for the world outside to change first.
Precisely. It's not about trying to manipulate things out there. It's about changing your own internal story, your narrative. And, the simplicity you mentioned.
Yeah.
That's probably one of its biggest appeals. It makes it really accessible, even if you're totally new to this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
You see that in the reviews, too. People constantly mention the clear writing, how it makes a lot of sense. They call it an easy read, but one that still delivers genuine deep change, even though it's not a huge book.
Yeah, and these ideas, they feel even more powerful when you hear about Genevieve Davis's own story. It's not just theory for her, is it? She talks about forgetting all this magic stuff for 30 years, living a life she describes as dull, poor, and ordinary, and then rediscovering it, rekindling the fire, and turning her life around pretty dramatically. That personal experience adds a lot of weight.
It really does.
Plus, she comes across as very down-to-earth, British, straightforward, admits she's not some paragon of spiritual loveliness, drinks coffee, likes jokes, loves animals. It makes her relatable.
That relatability is huge, I think. It makes you feel like, okay, if it worked for her.
Yeah.
She says she uses these magic words every single day and promises massive changes if you stick with it, as she described.
Right. And there are practical examples, too. I saw one reviewer mention a specific exercise from the book, like spending just a few minutes focusing on a problem using the technique, then coming back 24 hours later and poof, the problem wasn't just gone, it had actually turned into something positive.
Wow.
Yeah, that really shows her idea of telling a new story in action. It's a powerful concept for making change happen.
Definitely. And it seems she supports that practice beyond just the book pages too, right?
Okay.
With the free course.
Exactly. She details this free online course created to accompany this book. It's a 5-day video program, apparently designed specifically to help you use the magic words technique effectively. And the reviewers seem to love it. They call it excellent, well worth the read, a really great addition.
So the book gives you the core tools, the understanding, and maybe even helps you create your own ways to use it.
Yeah, your own techniques that get results.
And then the course gives you that extra support to really embed the practice. That sounds like a really solid package.
It does. So thinking about who this is really for, who's the ideal reader?
Well, based on everything, it seems perfect for anyone looking for practical ways to create change. Like, right now, practical. And free methods, which is a big plus, especially if you feel like life's a bit of a constant struggle, or maybe you're dealing with illness. The book apparently helps shift your perspective, helps you see support that might already be there, but you weren't noticing.
Shifting attitude to see existing support. That's interesting.
Yeah, it offers a clear path, something actionable.
And I guess it's also great for people interested in mindset, manifestation. Maybe those who've heard about the law of attraction but found it a bit vague or, I don't know, difficult to apply consistently.
Absolutely. This seems to boil it down to something incredibly simple and direct. Use these words consistently.
So ultimately, it's for anyone wanting a better, happier life just by making some simple but effective tweaks to their thinking and their language.
And the feedback online really seems to support that. On Amazon, it's got that strong 4.4 out of 5 stars, nearly 3,000 ratings globally. That's significant. And 69% gave it 5 stars? That's a huge majority.
Yeah, it is.
People describe it as enlightening, inspiring. They say it changes their view on life, really defines positive thinking in a practical way. You see quotes like, "It is mindset-changing book for everyone who want a better, happier life," and "inspiring and uplifting. Follow what she says and you will improve your life." That's pretty strong praise.
Definitely. And the clarity comes up again and again, too, right? Easy to understand, easy to follow, short, sweet, to the point.
And the author's style, honest writing, sincerity. People seem to connect with her authenticity.
Okay, I hope you're enjoying our deep dive so far. Just another quick reminder to please subscribe to the Deep Seek Diaries and maybe like this video if you're finding it useful. Don't forget, we're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, even Twitter now. And all those resources, links to the book, everything are right there in the description below.
And while the overwhelming vibe is positive, you mentioned a minor critique about repetition.
Yeah, exactly. A few people mention it can feel quite repetitive with the core message, but interestingly, even those who said that often followed up by saying it was still an easy read and gave them valuable tools.
Right. So maybe the repetition helps hammer the key point home, makes it stick, especially if the technique itself is meant to be simple and repeated.
Could be. It doesn't seem to detract much from the overall feeling that it delivers genuine deep change, not just, shallow mental gymnastics.
So overall, the customer feedback really lines up with what the book promises, what the author quotes. It seems to hit the mark for practicality and effectiveness for a lot of readers.
Absolutely. So just to kind of pull this all together, magic words and how to use them comes across not just as an interesting idea, but as a genuinely powerful, very accessible tool for personal change. What we wanted to do in this deep dive was give you that actionable insight, something that you could potentially use right away, connecting it to that desire we all have for understanding things quickly, but also thoroughly. It really feels like it's about empowering you, the listener, to start reshaping your own reality, literally one word at a time.
It really does challenge you to think about your own internal dialogue, doesn't it? And your spoken words. It's more than just thinking positive. It's this idea that our language patterns are actively, constantly constructing our experience. It kind of flips the script on feeling like a victim of circumstance, gives you back some agency.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. How deeply ingrained is your current story? The one you tell yourself and others about your life. Knowing what we've discussed, what new story, what kind of magic words might you choose to start telling today? Especially knowing that maybe those words really do create your world. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. Remember, all the details, links, resources are in the description section. Please do hit subscribe and like if you haven't already as you head off. Until the next episode, goodbye.